Okay, start by chalking out your pattern on your wall so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. Then transfer that over to your plywood. I just used 1/4 inch underlayment, transferred it, cut it out. I cut out all my Dacron strips, all my fabric strips, so I would have it all assembly line fashion. And then I stapled on my tack strip onto my plywood, so I had a nice straight line to follow as I was putting my fabric down. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to start this project again on the smaller side piece that I've got. So that's the top. It's a little bit out of frame, I'm sorry. And then the bottom with the legs. I've already got the tack strip stapled on. And the reason why you do the tack strip is because this gives you a clear, straight line guide to follow, and you can feel it. So you can follow it with your by feeling it. Okay, so I've got my first piece of fabric here cut, not fastened or anything. And the first thing that we have to do is staple it to the outside edge. And we need to leave enough space overlapping this first piece of tack strip so that when we get the Dacron on there, there'll be enough extra for it to crown over the Dacron. I'm gonna measure it on this side to make sure I've got the same amount overhanging on this side. And I do, so I'm gonna go ahead and staple that. The first step is to start in the center, tuck that Dacron in, smooth it over. Make sure you're not stapling through the Dacron. You're going to staple right on top of your tack strip. This is where the feeling comes into play. You're going to feel the edge of that tack strip and make sure that you staple on the tack strip. Okay? And you're going to work from your center down both directions. Make sure that your Dacron is nice and tucked in. Feel for that tack strip. Oh, no staples. Around the other side. I'm getting a little bit of a belly here, so I could come back in and see, I can feel that tack strip right there. So I need to come in and I could bring that in a little bit closer, but I'm going to cut this off, and then the next piece of tack strip will go right on top of that. So that'll straighten that out. Obviously, we've got to put our next piece of fabric down, then our tack strip, and that'll straighten that out so you don't see that little bit of a belly right there. Okay, so this is the top, bottom down there. When you get to the top, same thing. Smooth it down and just hold it with your hand. It's a tough angle here, trying to get it filmed. Hold it, staple. nice and smooth. There's a fine line between nice and snug and then too tight. If you go too tight, then you're gonna see ripples from your staples, so you don't wanna do that. Now I'll go and do the bottom. Okay, so the bottom, you've gotta come around the leg. I'll show you how to do that. So you clip up, clip off a little bit there. This part you're gonna pull and staple. This part, you just fold that raw edge down and staple it right up underneath the bottom of the leg. There we go. Next step is to cut this extra off so that you can reveal the edge of your tack strip, so you can put your next piece of fabric lined right up with that tack strip and also your next tack strip. So I'll cut this off. Okay, so the next piece of fabric I've got here, I'm gonna lay it obviously right side to right side here and line it up with the edge of the tack strip. So, okay, let's see, there's the edge, there's the tack strip. All right, and then staple that down all the way. And then the tack strip. And the tack strip, you want to go directly on top of the existing, the tack strip underneath there. And this one you want to make sure that you're using 3/8 inch staples so that it will go through this tack strip, the fabric, and the other tack strip and into your wood. If you have a shorter staple, it won't hold this down. It might start to come up. So make sure you've got a longer staple. See how nice that line is? Tack strip really creates a nice crisp line there, and you can really see because I've got the two different fabrics here. You can see what a nice crisp line that is. Okay, so the next step is lay down your dacron. And I used two different sizes just because I had some dacron that was left over from cutting it and it was smaller, so I used that on the bottom just to use it up, because you can't tell if it's on the bottom. Over the top of the dacron. And starting in the center and working your way out, top to bottom. Make sure your dacron's tucked in, smoothed out, and make sure you're not stapling over the top of the dacron. Okay, and then just follow the line of your tack strip. And that's it. Bottom, the top, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. So now I'll cut this off, lay down my next strip of fabric right side to right side, staple it here, staple on a piece of tack strip, put your dacron down, fold that back over, and that's the way it goes all the way down. So it's the same thing all the way down. So now I'm going to show you how I finish off this top edge. This edge here, I will, when I close up the back, then I will cover this over. This will be against the wall, so you won't see that at all. So I made the welt, and here's the welt. So we're going to staple this along the top edge here, and you want it to be out in front enough that, you know, it makes sense. It's not too far back. You want it over the edge. Okay, and we're going to cut this edge off, open it up, cut out a little bit of that welt, because we want to be able to put that neatly over the edge, and the edge of the welt to just terminate right there, because this is going to be butted up against the wall, and then the other side will do exactly the same way. That's going to be butted up against the other part of the headboard, and I want to be able to put screws in between here and hold that nice and close together so you don't even see this seam. It'll look just like one of these seams. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so staple this on. A strip of fabric across the top, like so. Let it hang over the front because we're going to staple it on, and then this is going to go like that. Now, see, piece of tack strip to snug that up. So make sure you get your tack strip in nice and close right behind your welt. And make sure you're using long enough staples. Which I may not. Okay, so you see what that does? Creates that nice tight bond there. Okay. See how with the tack strip? Okay, then once the tack strip is all stapled down and secured, you're going to cut yourself a thin piece of Dacron, the width of the top. Wrap that. Could have gone thinner. And staple that around the back. Not a good angle to be stapling. So I will flip this around. Okay, same thing over here. We are going to, this is the side that's going to be up against the center section. So I will bring this around like so, because I'll have to cut some of this out. There. Wood, and I could do a separate video for that, but I had a bed skirt and it was just messy, so I did that. And I still need to make a new coverlet or a new duvet cover. I've just got this like matelassé cover on it right now, which is really not great. And then those pillows, those two shams, are actually from my living room, so I need to take those, put those back. And I do have a couple flat sheets that are almost exactly the same color as the headboard, and I'm going to make some new pillowcases and get new pillows, so that'll finish that off. But anyway, there's the headboard all in place. Boy, do I need better lighting for this. But anyway, you can see how the seam is pretty imperceptible. That's where the seam is. It's not perfect, you guys, but it's good. You know, it doesn't meet up exactly on the top there. But if you're not looking for that, it's really great, actually. And I'll show you this side too. So that's the seam right there. Pretty imperceptible. So anyway, once I get new shams, new coverlet probably, and a new area rug, and then I was planning on doing some moldings on this wall, crown molding to match the closet that's behind me, and then, you know, maybe some new lamps eventually, new rug. But that's the headboard, and I'm pretty happy with it. It goes wall to wall. So, and then here's my closet. My window shade I need to fix. See, there's my closet. My Roman shade, the strings broke on a couple of the things, so I repaired it. I need to just restring it. That's it.